Going live. So check your Facebook, Twitter, all your modes.
Check us out on socials.
There you go. We're live on the tweet machine. And
Twitter,
I'm assuming
Twitter.
Facebook. Yeah, I'm just on the Twitter right now.
I didn't get the notification that we went live.
We are live.
Shit.
Dusha, Beard, Jace's burner account.
Jace's burner.
Yeah, only person I know who loves himself so much to have a burner Twitter account.
That's true. He does love himself a lot.
He does. We love Jace, but not as much as Jace.
Not
loves
as
Jace.
much as Jace loves Jace.
Not as much as Jace loves Jace.
Nobody loves Jace as much as Jace loves Jace. Not even his dog, and that says a lot.
Kai's a very loving person.
Dogs are just very loving.
We'll send it to. I tagged him in it too. I hope he hears us talking shit.
Shit.
Just all the shit.
All the shit.
All of the shit.
Well,
gentlemen,
you teach
let's
me
wake
how
up a little bit.
You're gonna teach me how to do this?
We're gonna teach me how to
We're going to
Dougie.
teach you how to do it.
We are here.
Dougie
and
draft.
We got the boy Justin Freeman filling in for Lane since
Since Lane sucks.
since Lane sucks and he's
Sucking down too many Mick Ultras.
Yeah, the only beer emoji they had in the meme maker was Corona, so that's where we were. So
So that's where we were.
just knee deep in hooker shit.
Gross.
Yeah, very gross.
That sounds awful. So do I have to unpause my draft like my own self and do everything, or do you control everything?
Oh no, that's your own draft right there. That's you, boo boo. So we are going through with our 2023. Just kidding, 2022 NFL mock draft. 2025,
yeah.
way too fucking
25,
early.
That's the one. That's the one the Archman's in, right?
Yep,
25. Yeah, that's the one we're doing.
that's the one Siglin's just ready to give up everything for.
Yep. Trade
Yeah,
the whole
about
franchise.
to risk it
except
all.
Darius
whole
and
virginity
JT.
and everything.
I'm about to risk it all.
Risk it all.
Ugh.
Risk it all on an 18-year-old quarterback. What?
He's a beast, though. Don't forget it.
I've heard.
And he's good at ball.
And he's good at ball.
He's really good at football. I would saw him throw a football over the
No, he's
mountain.
pretty good at
that.
basketball, too.
Oh, that what ball is?
Ball is life.
Ball is life.
Oh, he retweeted our tweet. Did he hear us talking shit though?
Just trying to ball with my breasts.
Retweeted.
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 Retweeted
Oh, look at
our
that.
twit.
Reunited and it feels so good.
You think he goes to
Fucking
15?
harmonizing like a badass. What?
I would love to see Devontae go to 15. I think he does. I think Devontae goes with 15 to Vegas.
I don't know.
What?
He just came out with the new logo. I think he's going to rock 17.
Yeah, I mean, either
Oh,
way.
number.
I'm just
I was
happy
so
having him
confused.
there. I'm just happy having him.
I'm not.
I know
I'm
you're
not
not.
happy having him there because Denver needs
The
more
AFC,
cornerback
let's
help.
just get this out of the way right now. The AFC West, where it stands right now, is the scariest division football has ever seen.
The AFC West is Skynet right now, and the rest of the NFL is human.
The AFC West is like, we're all in, all four of us.
Yeah, it's basically like the rest of the NFL turned into college.
I was talking with
football
one of
for
my
the rest of the
coworkers
season.
the other day, and we were like, dude, all four of those rosters could be a Super Bowl roster.
I mean, realistically, when
scary.
you look at it, the least improved team is the Chiefs.
The Chiefs.
The Chiefs. I
They've
mean,
added Juju, and
They
they
just added
replaced
Juju,
Tyrann
and it's like,
Matthews, and they've lost two of their cornerbacks.
Even with Juju, like I saw that and I was like, who cares? Like Devontae just went to the Raiders.
closer.
Oh, closer. I was yelling, so I set back.
Oh, you're good.
But yeah, with Devontae on the Raiders, like nobody cares about Juju. What has he done in the last 2 years? Dance on some logos and lose fucking TikTok followers? I don't know.
Dude, the Juju and Jackson Mahomes memes are
Oh my
fire.
god, they're so good.
Well, he already, I mean, they already said it, like, our Jackson Mahomes already said, we got to collab. And I'm like, I
The
hate this
worst
world.
TikTok
I hate this world.
duo fans.
I don't want to live on this planet
the
anymore.
world.
Take me out. Take me out, God.
Take
I'm
me
done.
out with a
I'm done.
sniper on a date. Surprise me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be pleased with both.
I would be happy either way.
Yeah. You gotta share it on Facebook, the Book of Faces,
The book face.
the SWAT face. Doom ba boom ba boom ba ba boom ba boom ba ba boom bop. Who does everybody think? Who's your sleeper of the draft, Sigmund? I guess Justin. We kind of are giving very base prep to, but
Like sleeper of the draft.
sleeper. Who is your sleeper? Who's your day
Who's
three
the
sleeper?
sleepiest player?
Christian
in the draft?
Watson.
You think Christian Watson goes day 3? No,
No.
there's no way he goes day 3.
Like day 3 sleeper.
Day 3 sleeper.
Why's it got to be day 3? Like, do good players like?
So day 1 is the
James
first round.
Cook
Then James Cook from Georgia is a really good running back.
or
And also,
Zamir White. They're
Zamir White.
both underrated.
I'm biased. I think Pierre Arm.
So as a
Pierre
guy
Strong.
who knows very little about college ball because I don't watch it, every time I try to, I get disappointed because it's supposed to be a good game and it's not. But I don't watch college football, and I know very little about draft prospects. I know enough to know that I don't feel like a Georgia running back is going to go to day 3. I just
Well,
find that hard to
just
believe.
he was just. I mean, God, he had a share of the carries. I think this year. So,
But did he get hurt or something? Was he healthy? I feel like a healthy Georgia back, they'd be like, yeah, he shared carries, but he's a Georgia guy, so we'll draft him in the 3rd round.
I don't know about day 3. I don't know if
Okay.
Cook last. Well, you got to
That was my
realize
first
day
thought.
3 is rounds 4 through 7. A running back now dropping to round 4, I still think could be a starter on the right team.
I still think of 1 and 2 being first day, 3 and 4 being second day.
Oh yeah, day
still
3
think
being
of it
like
old,
yeah.
yeah.
The old school. Yeah, it's round 1.
I'm really old.
Yeah. Round 1 is day 1, and then
Yeah.
rounds 2 and 3 is day
2 and
2 on
3.
Friday night, and then rounds
I
4 through
suppose.
7 is day 3.
So yeah, you could have a fourth round, or late 4th or early 5th pick still. Okay, I could see that maybe.
But anyways, let's get to going. Let's get to drafting
Let's get
here.
to
We are
going.
going to kick off for recording and podcasting purposes and the YouTube, the
YouTubes.
2022 mock draft edition here. So if you guys want, we will still be interacting in the comments section below. So please, let us know what you guys think for picks. But we're going to go through a live mock draft, all 3 of us here. Justin's going to give us his newbie approach. For all of you people who don't know much about the draft, that's why he's here.
Yeah.
He's you.
Have you ever done like a pick 'em at work, and there's that one girl who wins all the money, and she's like, "Oh my god, I don't even know what I'm doing." That's me. That's what I'm doing here.
Oh my God, I'm just like so
Oh
excited
my
right now.
god, I'm just so excited because I don't know what's happening.
All right. Well, let's kick it off here with the first pick in the 2022 NFL Draft. The Jacksonville Jaguars select. Siglin, give me the pick.
Aiden Hutchinson.
Tell me.
After all of the free agency moves they've made, I thought it was going to be Evan O'Neal, maybe even
Evan
Icky.
Neal. You keep saying O'Neal. It's
Yeah.
Evan Neal.
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 O'Neal.
Just
Neal.
keep throwing the O in
April
there.
O'Neal.
But back to what I'm saying is they signed 3 linemen. They're keeping him protected now with Schreff coming to town. They've added some weapons for him, so offense really isn't the need. He has a running back that he's waiting to get back. And edge is their number 1 need, and why not grab the number 1 player in the draft at number 1?
I also picked Aiden Hutchinson because, I've teetered on the line of defensive end or offensive tackle here. And I think when you talk about D-end or edge rush or whatever you want to call it, I was kind of leaning tackle. Definitely wasn't my last mock draft. I had Evan Neal going number 1 to them, and I was actually starting to maybe flop over to Ekwonu a little bit from NC State. But looking where they went in free agency, I mean, you signed Brandon Scherff to a big money deal after he leaves Washington and gets cut. And then on top of it, you franchise tag Cam Robinson. It looks like they're investing in the offense
They
so
signed
much.
another lineman as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they're investing in the offense so much that it bodes to the defensive talent in this draft. I think it bodes to where the Jaguars, I think, want to, spend their draft capital. And it might just be false forecasting, as we know all too often here in South Dakota. The weather isn't always what it seems. But I think just looking at the forecast here, like I said, late March, we have about a month to go till the draft. I think I would almost cement Aiden Hutchinson here. Or if they like Thibodeau, but I think at this point, it's edge rusher for them.
Oh,
So
it's definitely edge.
And that's where I'm going to pick Hutchinson because he's my number 1. So
That's what I picked too, just because the little that I do know about these players is it seems like everybody has Aiden Hutchinson as the number 1 player in the draft. And normally I pick the Jaguars to screw this pick up, but I did see that with them having a new GM in Trent Baalke, I think that he figured this out. I think that he solved the offensive line issues and got some of the biggest offensive linemen available in the offseason to protect their franchise quarterback. And I think that they don't whiff on this pick. They go with the clear number 1, talent. Could they still screw it up? Obviously, they're the Jaguars. So Aiden Hutchinson isn't a clear superstar in the first 3 or 4 years, but he's definitely going to be a good player in the NFL.
When we were talking about this beforehand too, what I see out of this draft class is you have the talent spectrum in each draft class. You have this window, right? And I feel like in every draft class you have this blue chip or a couple of blue chip prospects, and then from there the talent just gets so far whittled down that the picks fall so drastically to where like even the first pick is worth exponentially more than what the 10th pick is. In this draft class, I'm not really seeing that, though. Like, Aiden Hutchinson is a great player. I think he's my surefire number 1, but he's not the best first overall pick I've seen.
Yeah.
But also, at the end of the day, I still think teams who are picking later in the draft, and obviously this is something I thought, and I'm a little bit happier about this after the Adams trade, is you got guys who are going to be starters a lot more often than I think we usually see on days 2 and 3. Because, your second and third rounders, those are guys you still expect to come in and make contributions right away. But day 3 guys are your developmental guys, and I still think we're going to see a lot of, like, rounds 4, 5, 7 guys enter in with the expectation to start just because this class is – the floor is a lot higher because the ceiling's lower. You know what I mean?
Because the floor is lava.
Exactly. Yeah, because the floor is lava and the world is the Matrix, everything is a myth. So, since everything is a myth and this is all just fake, we are not actually the general managers. Siglin, where are you going at number 2?
Thibs.
Kayvon Thibodeau from Oregon here. Now, Justin, you had a unique take on Thibs. So before I get Siglin's analysis, I wanted to kick to you on Kayvon Thibodeau because I know this is someone you kind of dove into as a newbie here a little bit.
So I was looking at Thibodeau earlier, and everybody had kind of a little debate. This was probably a week or 2 ago, whether it was Hutchinson or Thibodeau. Who is the clear number 1? And I was looking last night again, and everybody was talking about how he's falling because, he said he was going to work out, and he's not working out, and they're worried about his character. And I'm just like, who cares about his character?
You just saw what happened to David.
He's a kid, and me and Cole were talking about this. These are student athletes who are not getting paid. He's out there with
before
a full,
NIL.
Yeah, with a full set of classes. Who in. Like, if the guy's not working out, that's what you have coaches for.
Yeah.
That's your job, is to work with this guy, with his personality, his attitude, and find that niche. If he has the talent, he has the talent. It's your coach's job to get the product on the field. And so I was actually just sitting here thinking, do I think Dan Campbell takes Kayvon Thibodeau right here? And I was honestly thinking, he doesn't have much to protect on the offensive side. So that's who I was actually just thinking. So I'm really glad you picked that because it made me feel better about picking it myself.
I think Dan Campbell is the perfect person for Thibs.
I was about to say, I think this is my dream fit for the first couple of picks here. I think Thibodeau going to Detroit, while Hutchinson has the story of being a Michigan guy, he can go right down the road. Dan Campbell, love him. I think when you talk about what player probably needs a coach more, I think Dan Campbell, just injecting that energy and just that natural just passion for football. Because I don't even think Kayvon Thibodeau is just this lackadaisical guy, but I also look at myself at 21, 22, and if you asked me to, on top of, full classwork, and then a year after, like, I'm the dude. Like, Kayvon Thibodeau was the number 1 guy coming in. If we are talking this mock draft last year, it's Thibodeau number 1, and I don't think a lot of people would have argued that. So
no, not
coming
at all.
into this year, maybe the chatter starts to talk a little bit. Maybe it kind of gets into his head. Maybe he takes a couple plays off. Maybe he's not working out as much. But when your draft stock has pretty much been cemented top 5 for the last year and a half, it's kind of hard to give a fuck. Like, I do relate to him in that
age.
From a coach perspective, you want him to. You want everybody to be, the try hard. You want everybody to be given 130% on every down, and unfortunately,
you want him to be a consummate professional. But the fact is, he's still a kid.
Yeah, this
His
guy
brain's
might be
not
the
even
type of
developed
dude
yet.
who's going to, he'll develop in practice and everything. But when he gets on the field, you're going to see the best out of him in the pros, I think. So that's why I've had him actually rise up my draft board, probably in relation to the end of the season. Now, Sig, we kind of, talked around here. What do you actually think about the Thibs to Detroit pick here?
Oh, I think honestly, how we originally had it mocked before all the free agency stuff, if it's him and Hutchinson available, I think you take Hutchinson, but I think Thibodeau is the guy that Dan Campbell wants. He's going to unlock him, make him that monster that he was his freshman year at Oregon when he was blowing everyone off the lines. Like, I think Detroit is the perfect fit for him.
Yeah, me and my father-in-law were talking yesterday about Dan Campbell and what he's been able to get out of the Lions roster and team, and he's got so much excitement. It's so infectious. I think a guy like Kayvon Thibodeau could really benefit from that. I mean, if he doesn't have that excitement right now because he's on his senior year and he was kind of just tired of going through the thing every day that he's not getting paid for, it's tough to have that passion when you're just not seeing the results that you want out of it. He's waiting to become a professional and get paid millions of dollars. And I think he's going to rediscover his passion for football.
It's also like we just saw it with David Ojabo the other day. It's like, are these workouts and these like does the tape not speak for itself? Like, do you want me to get injured before I'm coming in?
Exactly. Yeah. With that injury, I feel like people would just shut up.
Back in the day, I mean, and I'm not going to use David Ojabo as a linchpin because I do love the pre-draft process.
It happens all the time.
I know, and to be honest though, it happens all the time. But that's just the thing, though. You can also be sitting there, and these guys are working out daily, off camera, to get ready for the draft. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to be a smart pro, this isn't 1998 where Ryan Leaf can just go fuck off and party for 3 months anymore. If you're going to be an NFL prospect anymore, and teams have shown they don't care if you're a first round prospect, they'll cut your ass right away. Who was homie from the Titans that happened to, the offensive tackle, and then he went down to Miami, and then he got cut again. No, I know. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
I know you're talking about.
Yeah, but like
last year.
Yeah. It's just like everybody they're not going to give you these up to million chances.
Yeah.
If you're Antonio Brown, you have an NFL resume, sure. But if you're a first round pick, you can't just go in there off your couch after 3 months. All of these guys are working out every day. So like getting hurt at pro days, it's cautionary, I think, but also at the same time, I do think it's necessary because I think you got to realize even with all of this in-depth scouting, people still get missed.
See, and that's my thought process. I feel like maybe they should just stick to interviews. Like, I honestly don't think that a lot of these drills that they do.
But the players have a choice. It's their choice.
Oh yeah.
Now, obviously, there's the caveat of, well, this is going to hurt or help your draft stock. But Kayvon Thibodeau sitting him out. Yeah. All the quarterbacks. I mean, Malik Willis threw and everything, but he didn't run at the NFL Combine.
As a Denver fan, I've seen at least one or two undrafted players come in every year and not only make the roster, but contribute heavily. And so for me, I even have a hard time just looking at tape to do a mock draft because I'm just like, there's so many facets to this. It's so complicated that it's not as simple as one just
you
looking
got
at
to
the
think
tape
of
and
it.
just
2,500 teams get condensed down into 32.
Yeah, and what is it? 400 picks, 500 picks, something like that.
256.
256.
Oh, it's 256 people get drafted, and most of those don't make it.
And then you generally have about 125 that get invited to camps and see if they make the cut or not.
So yeah, I don't know. I feel like the scouts, they get paid good money to be professional weathermen for sports.
I mean, yeah, essentially that's really where they're at because all you can do is just guess at the end.
Yeah,
of
you're
the
just
day.
guessing
You
at this
can
point.
analyze. You can have an educated guess, and there's the education
I feel like
behind
the interview
that,
process should be on display a lot more than their physical stuff. Because
but even then,
even the difference between Aiden and Kayvon, I mean, is there a huge difference? Is the guy a second faster than him in the 40, or is it like 0.8 of a second, 0.2 of a second?
I think it's just also the size. Like, Kayvon's bigger than Aiden. Like, if you were to stand them next to each other, Kayvon's way larger than Aiden Hutchinson is. But Aiden Hutchinson's a little more polished, and he did it all season long. Whereas once Kayvon got injured, he's like, I'm kind of just chilling for the draft.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, let's move on to pick number 3 with the third pick in the 2022 NFL Draft. The Houston Texans select.
This is really hard.
Kyle Hamilton.
That's who I want to take, but you still also need to protect Davis Mills. He was like the 4th most sacked quarterback after he took over. He's not very mobile. He is a very pocket-heavy passer.
100%.
And with
But you also just lost Justin
Oh,
Reed, and you have Laramie Tunsil.
Oh.
You don't have another safety.
I'm not disagreeing with you at all. It's just really shitty to see him available and not get selected. I'm actually still taking Kyle Hamilton because they can come back and grab like a Charles Cross at like 13.
We'll see. I actually have Cross going a lot earlier. I will have Cross going a lot earlier. But I do think Hamilton comes in because Hamilton, just like Hutchinson and Thibodeau, I think he's one of the guys in this draft class. It's loaded with defensive playmakers. And unfortunately, with the NFL being an offensive league, yes, you need defense to counter that. But in the counter, people just value it lower.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I look at these guys. I mean, if you look at this talent, if you were to put a out of 100 grade, a letter grade to it, and you were then transfer that same letter grade to a quarterback, I mean, bona fides, number ones all day. So when I'm talking like a quarterback of the defense, someone at safety who is big enough to play a strong safety box linebacker role, but also like, quick enough, fast enough, and has the instincts and eyes to
He's
play free
explosive.
safety. Dude, Kyle Hamilton is just like, that's why you can't really define him. He's just a safety. Honestly, if he were to come to the Raiders, he'd work perfect in that 4-2-5 scheme because it's literally 4 corners, like one big ass, massive like do it all safety. That's what we have here. You have a do it all safety who can kind of slot into any scheme however you need him and develop how you need. And I think at the point where you give Davis Mills a chance and there's not really a quarterback in this class worth number 3, Hamilton would be my pick. But yes, I agree. Offensive tackle would be right back there as a second need. So
You guys have definitely convinced me that he should be the pick. Being it's the Texans, I think they screwed up, and I think they go elsewhere.
I'll say this: they won the Baker trade. I did not think they'd still get 3 firsts. I did not.
No.
I did not think they'd get what
That's
they got.
nuts. I still think that they
The
screw this
Watson
pick
trade,
up
sorry.
though, and I think they either reach for a quarterback or I don't know. I think it's going to be hard to judge just because there's a lot of good players that they could take that they're going to make look bad. So even if they take Ahmad Gardner or one of the amazing tackles, it's going to look bad in the next 3 years in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the right pick, though. You guys have definitely convinced me. I think having somebody in the back of your defense, because let's be honest, they're going to give up a lot of big plays. Having somebody that good in the back of your defense to stop those big 20, 40-yard plus plays that they're going to give up is going to be really important.
Well, it's looking like Brandon Cooks is going to be back. He hasn't moved yet. They haven't shed Brandon Cooks' roster. So if you're giving Davis Mills his number 1 receiver back, in which last year
He was good.
they showed something.
Yeah.
And when you're talking a team's picking number 3, you have to be overly optimistic because if we're being realists here, dude, they have holes like fucking Swiss cheese. But when you're talking realism, when you're talking actually where the good parts of this team are, and then addressing the dark blood red before you're trying to address maybe the yellow as far as threat level goes.
Yeah.
Like I said, safety's the big one for me, especially losing Justin Reed to the Chiefs.
Yep.
But moving on here to the 4th pick.
How do you like this one? You ready?
In the 2022 NFL Draft, Siglin Wheeler, GM of the New York Jets, selects
Applesauce.
What?
He's going to the Big Apple. His nickname Sauce.
Oh, applesauce. I get it. That's really good. That's good.
You know what? I can see it. It's
I
not
can see
gonna.
that's
It's not
funny.
gonna be my pick. It's
I'm
not gonna be
not
my
mine
pick.
either.
I love the nickname.
That's
just
good.
like how we have
Yeah,
Rocky of
that's good.
Sin City now. But
That was a
honestly,
low blow.
I love Sauce Gardner. He is my number 1 corner in the draft. It's not where I'm going to go here. I'm going to go with Evan Neal because I think if you go 3 picks without one of the tackles taken in this draft class, I have Evan Neal, Ike Ekwonu kind of head-to-head right there. Ekwonu, I would actually say, if I were the Jets GM, is probably who I would personally take, but taking a look at their history and taking a look at what they value along the
Even
offensive
with the
line.
Lincoln Tomlinson signing?
Yes, even with the Laken Tomlinson signing, I still go Evan Neal here because Laken Tomlinson's a guard. Ali Vera Tucker's a guard. They have Mekhi Becton at a tackle, but all of these signings have one thing in common, and these are all athletic offensive linemen. And when I look at athleticism, I think Evan Neal is more athletic than Ekwonu, and he's definitely more athletic than Cross. Ekwonu probably makes sense at right tackle a little bit more, and that's where you're going to slot him. but I think you invest heavily in this offensive line. Now, I like the Sauce pick. I really do. I actually think the Jets would be smart to go there, but like I said, if I'm predicting this draft and I'm predicting a team that is always disappointing in the draft and tends to double up where they might not need to, I think Evan Neal at right tackle gives them, between Mekhi Becton and Evan Neal, you have a guy who's 6'8", 350 and a guy who's 6'9", 350. Those are mammoth human beings. So the Jets, I think at this point, Zach Wilson has no reason not to just sit back in the pocket all day long. You have weapons. You have Jamison Crowder. You have Elijah Moore. You have a nucleus forming around that team. You got Michael Carter on offense. I think they address defense more in the draft later. But right now, if Evan Neal's there, or even Ike Ekwonu, I think you go with tackle.
That was where I was too. I think one, that's an amazing nickname, and I think he'd be very successful. I think that's a very, very good pick. But I do think that they go offense, especially earlier in the draft, with them having multiple first-round picks, especially thinking that, you've got two great tackles, who are top five players in the draft, you think? I think they got to take a tackle. They got to try and protect that first-round pick from last year. So
I do think the number one wish here, though, is for Hamilton to drop at 4. I think now, with Marcus May leaving, with Jamal Adams leaving.
LaMarcus Joyner signed on.
LaMarcus Joyner, though, once again, did he play more free for them last year? Because if he's at free safety, then
he played well. He was on the Saints.
A lot of movement in the safeties.
LaMarcus Joyner was on the Jets last year. Marcus May went to the Saints, but LaMarcus Joyner was on the Jets last year. Because he was on the Raiders the year before.
Okay.
We used him as a slot. I think he's better as a free safety personally, and I think that's what they...
I'm thinking of Lattimore.
Yeah. I think, you might be thinking Marshawn Lattimore. I think Hamilton would be the move for him. I think they've invested a lot at corner, but also I think this draft is hella deep at corner. And honestly, I wouldn't roll one out at 10. So is kind of where I'm starting to think, because 4... I'm also looking at value for pick. Now, the Jets, by far, not above, jumping a little bit.
Yep.
Sauce, for me, is my number 5 player. So 5 at 4 would not be bad. Like I said, here I just pick Evan Neal in the way my draft's going. But, Siggy, stick with me in New York. Give me the Giants pick.
I actually have Neal going.
You have Neal going here?
It makes the most sense. The biggest need is offensive tackle. Dab says he wants to give him the best chance to succeed, and the best chance to give him to succeed is to protect him.
So, because Neal is off my board, this is where I go with Icky. Like I said, for the Jets, I don't think Neal, Ekwonu, or Sauce would be a bad pick. For the Giants here, I think you have to take whatever tackle's available. Now, if the tackles start falling early, like we kind of originally predicted before free agency started to go, yeah, I can definitely see like Charles Cross here. Charles Cross kind of going up with a little bit of a drop here with Evan Neal. Then it's kind of Icky. You still have a good balance on that line, especially when you have Danny Jones. Icky is just a fucking nasty run blocker. And I think Danny Jones, with bringing Dabs in, you're really going to try to develop him in that Josh Allen mold, that dual threat big quarterback. So get him someone to protect him, because they need linemen. They're bad. So, Justin, newbie take. Nickname rating on Icky.
Nickname rating?
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know what the Giants do. They probably should take an offensive lineman, but I honestly don't think they could go bad either way, taking Icky or Ahmad Gardner. I think they go defense, just because I think they've lost too much on defense, and I think they're going to try and address that. So I'm going to have them taking Ahmad Gardner.
Still gets the name.
They got two picks. They got another pick in 2 picks. So I think they're hoping one of those guys falls one more pick to them.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to go with Ahmad Gardner, just because I think they have a lot of defense to shore back up. Because I was just looking at all their free agents that they've lost, and they've lost some offensive weapons, but it just seems like their defense is gone. I don't see too many people. Jaron Williams stayed.
Well, you're
That's
not
all I
going
can
to go grab
find.
a tight end at 5th.
Well, and they got Ricky Seals-Jones. I honestly think he's pretty good. But I see they re-signed a tackle and Blake Martinez, the
Depth.
linebacker.
Yeah.
There's so many players. It's
Well,
hard
the Giants,
to keep track
Giants
of.
are in a hard cap situation.
They're
right now, so.
they're in trouble. But I think having a good cover corner, especially with all the moves that are happening, I think having a good cornerback to try and shut down that number one guy. I mean, I don't think he's on the level of a Patrick Surtain, but give him a year or two, and he'll definitely be there. He's going to be that shutdown guy.
He's on the level of a Surtain.
I was about to say a PS2, hands down. I'd give him the same prospect grade I gave Surtain.
I just haven't
last
heard
year.
as much
He's
about
elite.
him. Nobody
He
would
hasn't-
shut up
he
about
hasn't-
PS2 last year.
He hasn't let up a touchdown in his college career.
That's nuts. So yeah.
Last year he
that's-
didn't let up a
that's tough
pass
to-
longer than 13 yards.
That's tough to go. And,
Yeah.
and
Sauce is
pass
nasty
out.
in man
he
coverage.
shut down the left side of the field for Alabama when they played.
that's nuts. So yeah, that's definitely the pick that I'm gonna go with. Oh, I closed the window.
Alrighty here.
That's not good.
Sigland, who are you going with at number 6? Because I know we have the same
Icky.
position. Oh, Icky's. Oh, yeah, I guess you still have him available. I saw a tackle there, but I didn't actually read the name. So I am running a string of tackles here because I think once they fall, they start falling with these 3 here. So I have obviously Neal, Icky, and then I'm going to go with Cross at 6 here. I think it's a little high for Charles Cross. I have him about a step below Icky and Evan Neal as far as kind of talent goes. He's definitely my number 3 tackle, but he's my certified number 3. I also think there's about the same gap between him and Trevor Penning. Not much. They're all first-round tackles, but I just think Charles Cross, if you're going to reach on somebody here and the Panthers need a tackle and they haven't really addressed it, Charles Cross is my dude. I could have went Sauce, though, but who'd they just sign in free agency cornerback-wise?
I couldn't tell you. They just lost Logan Ryan to the Bucks.
That's got to sting.
But they have a couple second rounders where they could fill that up, that's for sure.
Dante Johnson, I know. So, and like I said, this cornerback draft class is deep. A lot of people are going to start loving it because I think you've seen a little hesitation on the corners. I don't think J.C. Jackson got the money maybe we thought he would have. Still a bag, still a fucking bag. I thought he was 20 a year though.
Yeah, that's what I thought the Colts were going to at least
I
offer
think too
him.
many corners are getting that though.
He's the second best corner in the game.
Oh, I agree. I don't think that people.
He
are
might
want-
even
people
be
are not
the,
wanting
he
to
might
pay
even
cornerback
be the
that much.
first best just because he's a little younger.
All right. Number 7 to the Giants. Da-na-na, da-na-na.
Combine hero, Trayvon Walker.
I can see Walker here. I'm gonna copy that pick. I'm gonna copy and paste that pick there.
They need an edge. They have no rush on the outside, and Trayvon Walker is going to give them that day one.
I agree. Plus, I think once again, Georgia linemen at the combine were a story in their own right.
Well, yeah, and
They were like they're like the
combine that
AFC
he
West.
Had, he
Yeah.
solidified before. I was always I was bouncing between Trayvon, Karlaftis, and Johnson the third as the main 3. Because I couldn't really find a clear 3. And after the combine, Trayvon Walker said, "No, I'm your number 3."
Well, my thing right now, especially with that edge rusher group, and I have Johnson a little bit lower. I have Karlaftis and Walker kind of right in there, and I think with talented defensive lines, I think oftentimes you can get guys who are overshadow their flaws a little bit too much. Is what happens. The production outperforms what the actual talent is because of just you have a great base level of talent, usually one superstar. The crazy thing about Georgia is they're all stars. Devontae Wyatt, Jordan Davis, Trayvon Walker. I have top 15 or 16, I think, grades on all of them. At least top 20 grades on all of them for Big Board. I mean, yeah, I would slot Trayvon Walker here easily. I think at this point he's a top 10 pick, especially after the combine, as long as he doesn't pull a David Ajabo. He falls in the top 10. I don't think he lasts. There's too many edge needy teams, especially right here at 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, New Blood. What you thinking?
I did very, very little looking down this far. I spent a lot of time on the top 3 and just really overwhelming myself with my ADHD and my anxiety. But that all makes sense, and I don't think there's anybody else that really fits what the Giants like to do as far as prospect there, except for edge rusher. They like to take good edge rushers and have them have good seasons, but just never quite reach their peaks until they leave. So I think Trayvon Walker's that's a good pick.
Dig it dang. All right, moving on to number 8. Who you got, Sigs?
I'm not shying away from it. I'm going to scream it till the top of my lungs. You're taking Traylon Burks. He's the best wide receiver in the draft. He may not have been the fastest at the combine, but fastest isn't game speed. He's your next Debo. He's kind of a wide back. You could hand it to him out of the backfield. He can run the screens, but he's also wicked on just 5-yard slants. He could take a 5-yard slant to the house anytime.
The more I look at Burks, his prospect profile. Now, please understand this is not pro comp, but prospect wise, I really actually took a deeper dive into it. Dude, he reminds me of someone we just got, Devontae Adams. If you look at Devontae from Fresno, needs the polishing, needs the little bit better route running, but you see the flashes of the hard cuts at 6'5", 230. You see the size combining with the just natural athleticism. And it's scary because whatever receiving coach gets their hands on this guy, they're going to love what he already has. But, I mean, the potential is out there. I mean, he's a great big body receiver.
And you team
know what
him
I mean?
up with Kyle Pitts. Like, if you want Matty Ice to succeed for one more year, give him a weapon.
I completely agree, but just not on the weapon, because when you already have Kyle Pitts there and you already have a big body target, I think you need to finesse that a little bit more. I love the size and speed combos, hence why Renfro and Adams is going to be bellissimo. But I'm going to go with Garrett Wilson here. So I do think they go receiver. I think they are all in on trying to make Matt Ryan, towards the end of his career here, have every reason to succeed. And I think next year you have a better chance at looking at quarterback in the draft class, but you're too high here. And with Garrett Wilson, I think you're adding a guy who has straight line speed, obviously, out the gates. He and Chris Olave, I think, you can kind of nitpick there. One ran a 4.32, the other a 4.36. But Wilson is he's dynamic. Both after the catch, he's an explosive catcher for a 6-foot dude. Like, you know what I mean? I mean,
He kind of reminds me of Jamar.
Jamar or OBJ, I would honestly say, as far as like skill set, I see a lot of just explosive playmaking and not bad size, just not good. Like 6 foot tall is like just a medium size. Like Marvin Harrison was 6'1". You can be a great receiver at 6'1", 6'2", 6 foot. Gets a little bit harder when you're shorter. You got to be like a Tyreek, but I think Wilson's my guy here. I like Traylon Burks. I think he falls a little bit more because of his combine performance. Doesn't say anything about his talent, but I think Wilson, just because of Ohio State too, he's the guy here.
I don't know much about either of those guys, but I definitely think they go receiver here. I mean, after losing Ridley,
I'd bet on it.
possibly indefinitely.
Ha ha ha.
But after losing Ridley, possibly indefinitely, I mean, I've heard people saying they don't know if Ridley plays again in the NFL, and they definitely don't think he's going to be playing with the Falcons.
Well, he'll play again, just won't be with the Falcons.
Exactly. I mean, if you're only going to be sitting with Pitts at tight end, you need to take a receiver. And
they
it
lost
sounds
Russell
like-
Gage.
yeah, it sounds like Traylon Burks. For me, if I was the GM, that would be the way I would go, just because having a big, strong, fast receiver is easier to plan around because there's not as many freak athletes, big 6'4", 6'5" guys that can run and do
I know, but you already have one.
at tight end.
Yeah,
He's a weapon,
at receiver.
He's a weapon.
Yeah, did you see how they used him last year? It's at receiver.
Yeah.
It's at receiver, and I think in that offense
I
where
think
He's
you're
not
going to
a
get
blocking tight
I
end.
think
You're
there's a
gonna get
lot
shifty and
more
creative.
short, average height receivers who can do everything well and not, one thing amazing available than there are at Traylon Burks.
I know, but Garrett Wilson does multiple things amazing. That's my point. Is like if he was, that's why Jamar Chase goes over everybody else last year, because Jamar Chase, while being only 6 foot tall, Jamar Chase has 40-inch vertical jumping, and at the end of the day snags the ball out of the air. His ball skill is like he can sense the ball where it's going. You see him turn back on routes with a quarterback, it's not even just that. I think that Traylon Burks' game needs more polish. That's where the difference is for me. Is Traylon Burks upside? Yeah, sure. At the end of the day, if you
That
can make
makes my
Traylon
pick
Burks
even smarter
everything,
because the Falcons are going to screw this up and take the wrong guy.
Traylon Burks is nice.
I like Burks. Like I said, I think Wilson's more polished for what they need, team fit.
I think they take a receiver. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know much about either guy, but they're going to take a receiver.
Newbie pick it is.
Newbie
All right, as
pick.
we are split here.
We should be unanimous here.
1, 2, 3.
Malik Willis.
Okay.
Quarterback out of Liberty.
Yeah, I know.
I think
I know that
he's. Well, first off, I think he declined with the Panthers. You said.
Yep.
And on top of that, they don't make the Russ trade unless they know what they want. They make it to Denver because A,
They
Denver's
wanted
where Russ said
Malik.
yes to, and B, everybody else I think who was offering him. You heard about Washington, unless
Lower
the Giants,
picks.
unless the Giants were actually in serious conversation.
This was the best pick
Yeah,
you were going to get.
yeah, exactly. 9 is the best pick. So speaking in this slot, as it used to be your pick, what's your opinion on this one? That's good.
I
This
think
is
you're
who
a
I
Denver
thought.
fan.
This is who I thought the Broncos would have taken.
Well, and that's what I was gonna say is I think it was gonna be Malik Willis or oh god,
How?
Kenny Pickett.
Kenny Pickett, one of those two, and I think it was gonna be a quarterback, whether it's Denver or Seattle. I definitely think from what everybody's saying is Malik Willis is the guy. I'm not sure that. Again, this would help me if I actually watched, college ball and watched the draft process because I don't know. Malik Willis seems like a really dynamic guy, but he seems to me like he has that modern game. He has the athletic quarterback who can run and throw, and my brain tells me that doesn't fit with what the Seahawks want to do. That doesn't fit Pete Carroll's game plan. So I think that's what they should do. I don't know if that's where they go. I think maybe they go pick it and surprise everybody.
Pete Carroll was watching Malik Willis intently in all of his throwing drills. The reason he pulled the plug is he wants Malik as his next
about
quarterback
to say,
prospect.
It happened right after the combine, and with
Yeah.
the showing that Malik Willis had at the combine. Nothing against Kenny Pickett, but Malik's been my number one just
Yeah.
because of this is where I will actually switch my argument to a wide receiver. I just argued polish over potential. I'm going to actually argue potential over polish because of the quarterback position, because I've seen Malik make every throw. It's just consistency at this point. It's finding out what he's doing wrong on the plays he's not doing, the things he needs to do, and working that. I don't think you actually need to fix anything about him that is good. You just need to fix the bad things. And I think when you're looking at a quarterback, when you're looking at our success stories from the past 5 years, Josh Allen, you're looking at Patrick Mahomes and his development. You're looking at guys who are coming out and they were the most, all of a sudden the guy who is the most physical prospect isn't the bad quarterback to take as far as talent goes. You know what I mean?
There were some people calling him a mix of Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. Can you imagine if the full potential comes out, if you have a mix of Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen? That is a scary dude.
Yeah.
And he's going to be joining a division where he's going to learn defenses quick. All of those teams switch up their defensive schemes every play. And he's also going to be going into a young quarterback division. You're going to have Lance taking over. Kyler Murray's still young. You're going to have him, and you're just worrying about old man Stafford.
Yeah. Like I said, I think it's the right pick. It doesn't feel like it fits to me very well with Seattle, just because I feel like Seattle's still kind of stuck in the mud a little stick in the mud, trying to hang on to old defensive ball and ball control and not, explosive offense. That's what it feels
I think
like.
at this point it kind of seems.
I think
Also, who did
next
they
year
just
they
bring
could
in?
have one of the scariest running back tandems we've ever seen. They have a very underrated receiving core. And if you give a person who produced the talent that he had
Underrated.
and showed the talent that was there, because no one else from Liberty is getting drafted.
I think you paired DK Metcalf with any receiver in the NFL, and they can't be underrated.
But you also have, I'm saying, Dwayne Eskridge is criminally underrated.
Dwayne Eskridge is underrated, but I don't think that makes the whole receiving core because
Yeah,
Ty
no.
Lockett and DK Metcalf
No,
are
they're
well
like-
known.
But
Yeah,
then
he's
we
one
have
of the
to
top
figure.
five in
We
the
still have to
NFL.
figure out what's going to happen with Noah Fant, and then we finally got to see the explosiveness of Rashad Penny that we've been waiting for 3
Yeah.
years to see. I think
and
that
that's- I think
Seattle
that's why I think
is
they
going to
screwed
be
the
a
pick up.
sneaky team.
Because they have good running backs. I've seen them put together multiple games where I'm just like, holy where'd these guys come from?
I'm
And
telling
then-
you, after
And
the
then they get hurt
combine,
or they bench them, and it's like, I don't have faith in Pete Carroll.
I'm telling you,
I
after
don't.
the combine and the
I think he's gonna
performance
screw
that
something up.
Malik Willis pulled after saying that they're not going to get rid of him, they saw something that day that they're like, all right, this is the guy that we are willing to go after to get rid of Russ.
And let's be fair, the Seahawks, I think, have done great drafting.
Oh yeah,
they just
draft
haven't
great.
drafted this high.
True.
So we don't really
Years.
have expertise on how they do, but I mean, usually they're late first rounders, second rounder. DK was a second rounder. Ty Lockett
64th.
was a fourth round pick.
Mm-hmm.
They draft well.
True.
I have faith. I think it's going to be interesting to see how they develop him, but I think this is where Seattle gets their
I think
quarterback.
sky's the limit for him if he goes to Seattle.
Malik, yeah. Moving on, we have the second pick for the Jets here. And would you look at that? Sauce is still on the board with the way that my draft board goes. So, Big Apple Sauce. Let's go, baby.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm throwing the Big Apple Sauce down, and Sauce is going to go for me at 10. I think the talent in this cornerback draft class pushes 3 players stock down, and everybody else is up. But unfortunately, those 3 players are Trent McDuffie, Sauce Gardner, and Derek Stingley.
So I think that with everything that has happened, they've signed Laken Tomlinson. Offensive line isn't as big as a need as it was. I think you go and grab my 4th edge and Jermaine Johnson out of Florida.
Johnson going 10, huh? And definitely, I guess I
blew up
probably
at the
am.
combine. His tape is clean. He's a very, very good player. Honestly, if David Ajabo would have been non-Achilled, I might have taken him. But they need an edge rush. They were 27th in getting to the quarterback last year. And I think as a defensive coach that... I can't...
Sala.
Thank you. I couldn't think of his name at the moment. As defensive a coach as he is, you give him those weapons, kind of someone that almost reminds you of an Eric Armstead, and he's just going to be able to get through with that wingspan.
Well, Eric Armstead, DeForest Buckner, he's been waiting to get that switch end. I feel like kind of back, that big defensive end who
And I
can
think
almost
that's
play
what
D
Johnson-
tackle on pass rushing down sometimes. And Johnson did for Florida State because Florida State has fallen off such a cliff as a college program in the past 5 years. Johnson was kind of a do-it-yourself guy. He almost reminded me, and once again, very much an asterisk next to this comparison, but Khalil Mack with the Raiders in his first couple of years. You know what I mean? Just like a guy who he's putting in the numbers and he's putting in the work, but you see a lot of game tape where he is double-teamed and he still somehow is making a play.
Yep.
And so I do like Johnson. He's actually he'd be my 4th after Walker. I think it goes for me. It goes Hutch. It goes Tibbs. It goes Walker.
Yeah, I think he passed
And then,
Karlaftis.
yeah, I think he does pass Karlaftis. I don't have it updated on my big board yet, but on Draft Network here. But I do think he does pass Karlaftis barely. Those guys are still all top 15 talent to me. But like I said, with Sauce still being available in my mock draft here,
Oh, yeah.
that's where I went. So,
No, I feel you.
Easy. All right, to the Washington Commanders. Where are we going, boys? Is the Big Ginge the answer? Should we let Siglin make this pick?
Well, I mean, they lost Schreff. They need someone to protect him. And who better than Charles Cross?
Cross drops here at 11. I like it. I like the fit. I think they need interior line a little bit more, especially with Schreff kind of leaving. Because who do they have at left? I feel like who do they have at tackles? Because they have Samuel Cosme
They
out at
just
right
lost their
tackle
left tackle, I thought.
2 years ago with Trent Williams, but Washington Commanders tackles. Let's take a look here. Let's just fucking search Google.
Well, I mean, they've lost one
They
every
lost
year.
Scherf.
They got Charles
Flowers,
Leno.
Lucas.
They are low though. They got Andrews Norwell. Yeah,
They lost a lot.
offensive
too.
line. I have such a hard time drafting interior line this high. Because I would honestly go like Chase Roulier. They just signed last year, so I don't know if they go Linderbaum this high. And tackle, once again, with me having Cross off the board, this is where I'm actually having a little bit of a debate, as you can audibly tell.
Well, the other
outside my
thing is,
body.
I understand you having Cross off the board, but, you can move players around, and an older guard can turn into a center pretty easily.
Oh, yeah. Boo, boo, boo. I don't know. What do you think, Justin? What do you think their glaring team need is right now? 'Cause my hard part is right
Not
now, I mean,
glaring.
It says wide
they're like the
receiver.
one team who doesn't need
It literally
a
says their number one need is, a wide receiver, but I don't get how that's possible. Because
Terry
you had
McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, Diami Brown,
Yeah, it
even
was-
Cam Sims coming there is sneaky. I like Cam Sims as a depth wide receiver, come in, play your fourth
Diami
wideout.
Brown was starting to pop off at the end of the year. You're getting a
Yeah.
fully healthy Curtis Samuels back next year. And Scary Terry's cemented himself as one of the top 10 in the league.
Oh yeah.
Boys, let's
I
play
think
this.
he's pushing maybe when
It's-
he's at his best, he's up there.
Top,
Five,
top five's a
six.
hard one to break.
5, 6, 7 maybe.
It's Cooper, Devontae.
I don't know
or
what they-
Devontae
what they need,
Cooper,
but I
however
think
you
they
wanna
do-
figure that.
Go offensive line just because Losing Brandon Scherf that's a big one.
You know, boys, off the top here, I'm mocking a trade.
With the Commanders pick?
Yep. So the Commanders trade the 11th overall pick to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Really?
See, I don't see the Steelers doing that because none of the teams ahead of them are really quarterback needy.
I don't know, dude. I'm just trying to get random here, okay?
I understand you, but the Saints
Do
are
it for the
going to sign
content.
Jameis. They're going to need to get someone to protect him because they're going to lose Armstead because Armstead was only going to stay if they got Watson.
I just don't. I mean,
I don't know. They could move up and
They
take
could
an
move.
offensive lineman
They could move up.
if they like Mitch Trubisky that much.
Well, if he's moving up, he's drafting Pickett.
Yeah.
Pickett. I know what he's doing.
we'll go Katie Pickett there. Fuck it. I don't know. Everything's been in so much of a flux. We're gonna do another episode with our actual like draft crew, like me, Mike, and Sagan, Lane and the boys. But later this week,
Hopefully,
this is just,
hopefully Lane will not
Show
suck down
up.
too
Yeah.
many Michelobes.
Yeah. All right, boys. For 12 at the Vikings, we have a lot of Vikings fans. Shout out Filer. Shout out to all the boys. What is up, Josh Lowe? Jumping on in. What is up, Mom? I didn't check the comments for 2 minutes. We actually had some people pop in. What is up?
So this one actually is really tough because you have Stingley available, but you also have Trent McDuffie on the board, and McDuffie's tape is spoken for itself.
And the problem with Stingley is I
balled
feel
out.
like he's been the wide receiver or the CB1 for so long that no one really cared to take a look at the last 2 years. I will justify less talent, injuries had a part to play in it, but I think it was enough to bump him down on my board to number 3, and I would go with McDuffie here.
Yeah, Trent McDuffie is exactly who they need, and I believe that's who they're taking.
What do you think about the Vikings?
What's that?
Yeah,
I think
what-
the Vikings are a mess. I think they could use cornerback help, but I don't know. You guys have been talking so much about Karlaftis. Do you think there's any chance they draft Ojabo even though he's hurt?
No.
No,
Bank on him?
Ojabo goes out in the first
Ojabo
round now. He's
dropped
done.
to a third-round
Mhm.
pick.
Yep.
Oh wow.
Because even with an Achilles
I
recovery
think
of 6 months,
they
it's-
need a pass rusher, so I'm gonna go Karlaftis.
I could see it. I could also see maybe like interior D line before. Or no, they just pick. Who did they pick up this offseason? I picked up somebody.
I just think they need some defensive help, and they've been going cornerback, and
That is
seem to
true.
be
That is true.
helping.
They've spent a lot of first round picks in the past. I want to look
on
at the
corner.
Vikings last
It just
10
doesn't seem like it's doing anything for him. So I'm gonna go D line, and hopefully they can get a nice pass
Trent
rusher.
McDuffie is go watch some tape.
Yeah,
Trent McDuffie's nice.
He's
Oh, I
probably
don't-
the best
I don't doubt
zone
it.
coverage corner in the draft, and that's what Minnesota plays a lot of,
lost
especially
Anthony
with them
Barr,
not losing their
Patrick
defensive
Peterson,
coordinator.
Sheldon Richardson's leaving.
Yeah, so since
They're a mess.
2013, so the past 10 years, the Vikings have drafted Xavier Rhodes, Trey Waynes, Mike Hughes, and Jeff Gladney with first round picks, all at cornerback. They're also very prone to trading, too. I know the Vikings are always one of the trade-heavy teams in the draft, it seems like. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's – and once again, I don't think a lot of the teams ahead of them, with that Pittsburgh Steelers trade, I don't think a lot of teams ahead pick a quarterback. But once again, if Malik Willis drops at 9, the dominoes start falling.
Oh, yeah.
At positions. And that's the thing is the dynamic of a draft isn't even so much in player evaluation and team needs. Purely, dude, I run mock drafts just to see how the flow of a draft will go. Like what I think the flow will go. If you get someone, we could have someone come up and take a guy I have a second round grade on and isn't even in my top 40 for the big board here, and all of a sudden we're reworking everything.
Oh,
Alex
yeah. It
Leatherwood with the
changes
fucking
everything.
Raiders happens from last year, and
I mean, the Raiders could draft a kicker again in the first round.
we just signed. Okay, first off, fuck off. For 2 reasons. One, we have a kicker and punter we both just signed extensions to that we're very happy with. Second off, we don't have a first round pick.
Do you guys still have Sebastian Janikowski?
No, Daniel
Okay.
Carlson and AJ Cole.
Oh, that's right, Dan Carlson.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, it was like 20 years with that fucking guy.
I love Seabass. I miss him. All right, to the newly acquired Houston Texans pick. That was the Cleveland Browns pick.
George Karlaftis.
This is where I have Karloftis going.
I've
to.
had Karlaftis going here for a while, so I'm just sticking with it.
Seems like I didn't want to change anything. I don't like change.
No,
I
I mean
don't
that's
like
who I had the
change.
Browns essentially taking at 13. I think that's where his value is. He's gonna be explosive. His tape speaks for itself. He's got amazing finesse moves. His spin move is very underrated. I just think everyone expected him to have this amazing combine, and he just didn't quite fulfill that.
I think he's game speed, more physical. I don't
Yeah.
think he's someone who player tests well. And honestly, I relate to that. Like I do as a player, I always felt like when I was benching in high school and squatting and stuff like that, it was good for like my size and everything, but I also felt like when I got on the field, it was better than
adrenaline.
what like comparable to
You
other
could do more.
like yeah, there was guys who didn't even start on our line who could lift more than me, but I also felt like when I got in practice I'd run their ass over.
Yeah.
Different story as far as playing strength, playing speed versus test
Yeah.
speed and test strength.
I was
It's
talking about
100%
Rod
different.
Smith. Everybody said nobody was faster with the ball in their hands than Rod Smith.
Dude, he ran like a 4.7 on his pro day.
He ran like a 4.7, but when he caught a slant, dude, nobody was catching him.
Well, Jerry Rice, I mean, even then ran a 4.5 at
Yeah.
Mississippi Valley
Game
State.
speed is
And
completely different. That's another reason.
watching that
I'm
Joe
not-
Montana documentary, I don't care what if the footage is
Yeah.
in slow motion, I can still tell what a lead gain is. You know what I mean? I can still tell Jerry Rice running away from everybody.
I've
And
got
sure, the corners
Karlaftis
back
off
then.
the board because of the Vikings, so I am going to say the Texans take Trent McDuffie.
I would-
They need a lot of corner help.
They just need
They need a
players.
lot of help.
They
Yeah.
could flip too, but this draft is so deep in corners and wide receivers that's where I see them going in the second round is a cornerback and then a wide receiver.
Yeah, honestly, I could see that going later too. And edge rusher, especially with Ajabo going off, because like where my edge rusher rankings are, even just in my top, I think it's at 135 right now for the big board. I have Jermaine Johnson at 15. I have not updated this since the injury yet, but even then, Ajabo was 30 for me on my big board. Then you have Arnold Ebikite from Penn State. You have Boy Moff from Minnesota, Cam Thomas, Logan Hall, Myaji Sanders. But I all have second round grades on those guys. I love them. I love Boy Moff. I think Arnold Ebikite, both of those guys will probably sneak
It's
into the end of the
politics.
first round. But grade wise, what I have them graded as is early second round grades. But because of the edge,
The draft
And
isn't
how-
about who's the best player. The draft is about who's
Well, you
sold
also-
themselves the best.
well, you also have a lot of guys who later in the draft, I think day 3, are great picks. Like honestly, my big one
John
here.
Dotson.
No, well, Kingsley Ngaber from South Carolina. I can never pronounce his last name correctly, but looking at his tape, dude, he's a monster. The worst part about him is his motor, and that's because he goes too fast. Like he's just a fucking freak. So I think that's someone. Drake Jackson from USC has a lot of potential too. I think he could slip to the 4th round.
Sean Williams is criminally underrated.
Yeah. So I think you have a lot of talent in this draft class here. But with the Ravens here at 14, who do we all think they're going to go with? Because the Ravens are picking higher than I remember them picking in a long time.
Who better to shut down the new number 1 receiver in their division than the guy who used to go across from him every practice? Stingley Jr.
Really? I see it, and this has been mocked a lot. My problem is in any other draft class where I have Derek Stingley, I just don't have him making it this far. I love this fit. Because also you're forgetting one other very, very, very notable piece. Not even the guy he went against in practice.
having Patrick Queen there.
Talking about the quarterback of the defense being back, bro. Like you're talking, you
have Patrick and Derek Stingley back together, and they know how to run shit.
go get Damon Clark in the fucking 3rd or 4th round and call it a day,
You've seen
bro.
what happens when you team up LSU
You've
boys
convinced
with LSU
me.
boys.
What's up?
You've convinced me.
Yeah, once again, we've
They
sold
really
Justin.
need. They really need edge rush and interior defensive line. They've lost pretty much everybody on
They
their
brought,
D-line.
didn't they bring Smith
But
back?
there's-
Or was that unofficial? Because I know they were for a bit, but I thought he maybe opened up his
They brought back
free
Tony
agency.
Jefferson and Aaron Crawford.
Oh, no, they still need an edge rusher.
And that's about
right,
it
'cause Zadarius Smith
for
kind of
defense.
scooted on him.
Yeah, their defense is pretty much all gone. It looks like as far as free agents who they've lost, and it says their number 1 need is
We still have a lot of
interior
big needs,
D-line
though.
and then edge.
Honestly, do you want it? And this one kind of makes sense to me. Just seeing it on paper, just kind of popped, and I felt it in the gut. I think Jadeveon Clowney could sign with him.
Oh, he'd be such a great fit there.
I think he would. You talking
He's
3-4
such a great
outside
fit.
linebacker where you tell him
Shit,
See
put his
ball,
hand-
get
put
ball.
his hand in the dirt.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to rush the passer? You want to stop the run?
stand
you
up
can do anything.
3-4. I
Stand
think
up.
is where.
I think he could do it all. Because I mean,
What
you
is
gotta-
up, Max Lowe? Sorry, I just interacting with comments.
You're fine, but you got to remember that the Baltimore defense is a multiple defense. They're gonna run. Sometimes they're defensive linemen that have their hand in the dirt. They're gonna stand up and drop into coverage just to confuse the guys. I can definitely see that for Jadeveon with the Ravens. But yeah, he'd be a good fit. So, but
right.
you've convinced me with the Stingley Jr. pick. I think that's a good one. But now we have two
2 Eagles picks back to back, and then a third one at 19.
Back. That's nuts.
And we'll take Zach Thompson here and be like, Zach coming up on the Chargers pick.
I'm going to say Jordan Davis. After the combine that he had, they lock up Fletcher Cox. You bring Hassan Riddick to town. I think you team that and you have a nasty force to stop a run.
I love this pick because my worry is Jordan Davis falls to 17. And I don't want him going to the Chargers. Because I think at this point, the Chargers being and the Chiefs only having the first round picks in this division, I think it's firepower at this point. Every team has shown it is purely firepower at this point. I think Jordan Davis would be the firepower for them. I don't see Davis with this pick here. I'm probably honestly at this point going to go with Olave. I like him for wide receiver. I think they need one more good wide receiver on that team.
I actually have Garrett Wilson going next at 16.
Yeah, he's just gone for me. So, and then I'm going to switch it up and take Jordan Davis at 16 for him. So, but I think, it doesn't matter. You can flip flop him. It just kind of depends, I guess, who you're paying more at the end of the day. But the picks are slotted for salary. So, it's a couple $100,000 difference between the two
Semantics.
guys. So. Exactly. So, 17, we're running up to the Chargers here.
Well, I think with everything that has just been added to defenses, you want to protect him a little more. I think you grab Trevor Penning.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly where I'm going. He's my certifiable fourth tackle. I don't think impressive combine. I think it closed the gap between him and Charles Cross, and it widened it between him and Bernard Ryman from Central Michigan. But as far as he's the best small school lineman in this draft by far. Everybody else you're looking at is a blue chip college guy. But I think that's where it kind of crosses for me is everybody else is battle tested and Penning isn't. I think he shows everything on tape that even Evan Neal does. I think he's hella physical. And honestly, my pro comp for him, and I take some from home. I'm a bit of a homer with the Raiders because I study them more than anybody else, obviously. But I think Colton Miller is almost a direct pro comp for him. I see extreme athleticism. You still need a lot of polishing up in the pass game. But as far as just quick, agile, and powerful and able to day one make an impact running and then protect, the right side of Justin Herbert and then hopefully eventually shift left as a franchise left tackle. This would be an A-plus move. This or Jordan Davis would be an A-plus move, I think, for the Chargers.
Well,
even Devontae Wyatt.
I think they grab Devontae Wyatt.
Yeah. I just think you need a tackle
But
here.
I think with them signing Joseph Day or whatever, I think that kind of helps that need. It doesn't
lowers the
fill
color
it, but it
on the
helps
need.
it.
It turns it from like a red to orange, yellow.
Orange.
I like to use the danger scale. So
The
purple's
danger
the
scale.
worst. So all right, to the Nolans Saints, boys. Who you got?
I'll tell you who's left on my board.
This is where it gets tough.
Kenny Pickett.
Stick it with Pickett.
He's on my board, and I think they really need somebody at quarterback, and they probably need to start him right away, but maybe they don't. But
I was going to say it's probably going to be Pickett, too, because they haven't fully committed to the Jameis yet. But their other biggest need is going to be an offensive lineman after they lose Armstead. Unless he's planning to come back even without Watson. But
Well, I think the hard part was they were so hard on just trying to make this Deshaun Watson trade happen that right now there's going to be an aura. It's almost like withdrawals. If we're going to call it like medical, there's going to be this mental feeling of I still have to get a quarterback. Because you just took that hard fall, but then that void is still there, and so I think that makes it even more.
You're feeling a loss, even though you never had it in the first place.
Exactly.
But you are feeling that loss. Like, shoot, we lost out on this guy. We got to do something to fill that void, even if it's not on the same level. It's not Deshaun Watson level. It's not Drew Brees level. We got to get something to look forward to. A young quarterback would do that.
It's funny you say Drew Brees because I'm thinking quarterback, a little bit of a smaller school. Medium-sized school, we'll say, from the Midwest. I almost say the Middle Eastern part of the country.
The Middle East.
And so a guy who actually balled out at the combine, and I do not have him as my third quarterback, but I think he goes here to the Saints, and I'm going to go Desmond Ridder from Cincinnati. I think Ridder could jump up. If you've watched the past couple mocks, it's been Ridder at the end to the Lions.
I honestly almost could even see it being Sam Howell
I thought about it.
because
Sam Howell, I
they're a
could flip-flop
pocket
on.
they're a pocket kind of team. They don't really want to rely on their quarterback to be mobile, but Pickett is
I know, but when
the
you're,
shiny number 2 there.
Yeah.
I think Pickett is, but once again, you got to remember, I don't have Pickett here.
Yeah,
If Pickett's here for me, hands
yeah,
down.
no,
But I think in
sure,
this
yeah.
situation, someone comes through and grabs Pickett before the Saints.
Yeah.
I think Desmond Ritter is their number 2 quarterback, even on their board overall, probably ahead of Malik Willis. Because when you look at the intangibles that Drew Brees brought to the table, you're talking command of the offense,
Leadership.
preparation, and leadership. And that's what I see out of Desmond Ritter. I don't
see
think
that.
Desmond Ritter
I
is
can see that.
overwhelmingly the physical first-round pick as a quarterback, but I think he does enough. And I think also when you looked at him at Cincinnati,
was Tom Brady, so that
well, but exactly. And at Cincinnati, you saw a notable year-by-year improvement. So
Yeah.
I don't care about what mistakes you make now. I care about what corrections you make and how
Exactly.
you make that better 4 weeks from now.
that's-
So,
that's a smart pick.
and I think that's Ritter.
I think it's a good pick.
All right, Eagles last pick. Justin, give us a random one here. You make this. You make this one, and we'll follow you.
Well, let me go back to my board and see what I had them doing before.
Well, I'm just going to speak real quick on my guy. I originally didn't even have this guy in my top 5 cornerbacks. I finally went back and studied some tape after our last episode. And I've come to the conclusion that this guy deserves to be number 4, maybe number 5, depending on how you want to rank it. But they need somebody to team up with Slay on the side there. And I think you grab Andrew Booth Jr. out of Clemson.
Booth's your guy, huh? I think Booth's so raw. I mean, as you see on my board here, I have him lower. I have 3 cornerbacks still ahead of him. But I do think they go corner here, and I'm going to have him go Kyler Gordon from Washington.
See, I would originally have him be going Kyler, but I think Booth. I think when you go look at it in the competition that Booth has had to play against over what Kyler Gordon has dealt with as the second fiddle over there, I think Booth is your better option just because he's been playing number 1.
That's fair enough, but I think you're also taking a guy right here who needs to have first-round talent as a number 2 cornerback because you have Darius Slay, who already knows that better than a guy who played next to a very explosive corner in Trent McDuffie. Kyler Gordon also, I think, the only real, kind of knock against him. He's extremely, extremely fast and physical, and I think he plays like a bat out of hell. And when you're going against a coverage monster like Slay, I think that's a great opposition because then you can start favoring your safety help over to Gordon because Slay's got it by himself all day long. So when you're talking getting safety help there, Gordon can kind of do that. Or even then, if you go and get another outside cornerback, Kyler Gordon plays your outside corner on 2 downs. But when you're playing nickel, dude, he can slot cornerback for you all day long. I think he slots better, pun intended, inside as a cornerback, but he definitely can play outside.
I just took Booth because I have nothing to contribute to that.
Is he related to John Wilkes? No. Different Booth.
Different Booth.
So we'll go with R20 since you have a trade on yours.
Yes.
We have the Steelers. And with everything you've just done, you got a new quarterback. Why not give him that new centerpiece that he needs to be able to build some chemistry with? And I think you take Tyler Linderbaum out of Iowa.
I could see Linderbaum going here, I think, especially after you had such success with Pouncey. And then who'd they have at center there beforehand? They had a pretty good center for years with Roethlisberger back in the day. And even then going back
I don't
to
remember anybody before Pouncey. Pouncey was there forever.
Well, and then you also talk about like the legend of like Mike Webster. That was another name I was trying to think of off the top of my head.
He didn't. He Googled it.
Well, no, when it pulled. Well, no, I was trying to think of the guy from Concussion too, because he's the guy who killed himself in a truck that like initially kind of started this whole brain trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the whole CTE thing. So with the Washington Super Football Team,
I don't know. I think the Steelers go receiver to make up for Juju leaving.
I still see him having
gonna take
Devontae and Chase Claypool, but definitely they take it up. I'm going to go with the same pick, I think different. I'm backing down here. Chase Roulier, I think, is a great player, but also he played a little bit of guard. At 20 here, I think Linderbaum is too good of a value to pass up when you need interior offensive line. And even if you want to keep Roulier at center, you can move Linderbaum to guard, I think, pretty damn easily.
Yeah.
So, especially in that team. So with Washington trading back here, also could see a number of teams kind of slotting in here. And even with the Steelers, I think that would be a pick if I don't have Kenny Pickett around. If I do, he goes here. But I think Linderbaum Also, I think quarterback either becomes something that they make a move on, but if it's like a Desmond Ritter or something, here I don't see him
Well, and
going.
let's be honest, Washington's great at drafting a 4th-round quarterback.
No shit. Yeah.
Better than their firsts.
Yeah. In the same draft class.
Yeah. So,
All right, moving on to the Deflatriots. I don't think there's a team I've heard less from and probably like is losing the offseason worse than the Patriots are right now.
I think with the issue of
They wasted all their
losing
money last season.
the issue of wasting all your money last season, not really doing anything with it, and then losing your big guy this year, I think cornerback is their number one need, and this is where Kyler Gordon actually goes now.
Fair enough. I can see that. I also see him losing like Dante Hightower. I'm still going to slot Devin Lloyd here. I like Devin Lloyd. I think
I think Devin Lloyd is the perfect player. Had they been able to retain J.C. Jackson, that would definitely be their pick. But I think that when you go look at it, this is just too glaring of a need now.
I think that Bill Belichick has too big of a fucking ego to let one of the best cornerbacks in football go and then draft one as if he made a mistake. So I think Devin Lloyd, just because I think Bill Belichick will act like he doesn't need a quarterback or cornerback. Sorry.
Well, they always have a good farm system too. They almost just don't pay any of their in-house guys. It's
No,
like
they
once
don't.
they want money, it's like nah.
They're like, nope,
send you
you're not
somewhere
worth that.
else."
We'll bring in anyone else.
Literally.
Patriots, but we'll pay tight ends and outside rushers though.
So I know where you're going for the Packers based on who you have available, and I know where I'm going. So
I'm the
gonna
wild card, baby.
Oh, okay, all right.
I was taking Treylon Burks because he's still available, and once again, when I pro comp Devontae Adams, well, what better to replace Devontae Adams with?
Devontae
Then
Adams.
discount
Actually a
Devontae
very
Adams.
Smart
Yeah.
pick for you right there.
I
Yeah.
actually think it's Chris Olave here.
Olave, I have him gone, don't I? Yeah, I have him gone to the Eagles already. So, I could see it because I think Rodgers, well, Devontae's the best receiver he's ever played with. I think he loved playing with like those, like the Greg Jennings, Donald Driver types. You know, like that.
Little-
You know, like average size, do it all.
Yeah.
You know, the Swiss Army knife, if you will. So, I would say that. I would say probably Treylon here is my pick, but yeah, I can definitely see Olave. I could see Jamison Williams for a speed threat.
They have to go wide receiver.
But they have to with this pick. I think the pick you trade Devontae with, you have to immediately because it's
Someone
not like
has to replace him.
so. All right. Yeah, I think we all have wide receiver here. Justin, do you have any wide receivers popped off for you that are still on the board?
Don't see any of these guys that you're talking about on my board. So, I mean, unless you guys think that a Wilson, a London, or a Dotson, or a Watson are
Wilson.
the pick.
Garrett Wilson's the number 2 receiver.
Garrett Wilson.
Traylon Burks is the number 1.
I honestly was thinking, since Linderbaum was still on the thing, but that Aaron Rodgers would draft himself some protection.
They need a receiver more than anything.
Well, plus they
Well,
they just re-signed their center.
And they lost and they're losing MVS.
Yeah.
It's been reported he's signing with the
Well,
Patriots.
we'll give him London then. We'll give him Drake London.
Drake London would be probably my second pick. I think you need a big body guy to go in there, but also in this draft class would not rule out 2 receivers in the first 3 rounds. You now have 6 picks in the top 100. I think they counted. So
Yeah,
2 firsts, 2 seconds, 2 thirds.
I could see him going 2 receivers in the first round just to like try to give him as much potential as possible.
Well, yeah, with all the money you're paying him now, you need to back that shit up. Yeah. So, all right, 2 America's football team with the 24th pick, the Dallas Cowboys select
Would the
Siglin.
Cardinals get?
Yeah, what the
Our Cardinals? Oh, Jesus, I moved past that. Sorry, my bad. I made the pick and then moved on and pulled the Siglin. And I'm supposed to be running this.
Jesus, this
God.
fucking guy.
Oh, the ship's only as good as its captain, so we're underwater. Safe to say. I got Jermaine Johnson finally falling here. He's an amazing edge rusher. I think, especially if you lose Chandler Jones, what better to get in than, maybe someone who's probably a little bit better for their defense. Chandler Jones, I think, is a great edge, but also he's an edge. He's an outside linebacker that rushes the ball, if that makes a lot of sense. Not that he's bad against the rush. I just think, if you put Jermaine Johnson down next to J.J. Watt, not that it's a better fit because Chandler Jones is fucking Chandler Jones, but I think just playing style, J.J. Watt can kind of mentor him up in a very similar, like kind of balanced all around. Like he can do everything. He can rush like a bat out of hell, but also he's really good at holding the line and protecting against the run too.
Yeah, so I think they don't need a corner anymore with the signing of Jeff Gladney. I think he'll be able to slide in there perfectly. They kind of need a receiver after losing Christian Kirk, but I think Wesley and the farm system that they have is going to do fine, or they'll get one in the second round. And they're kind of losing a lot of like their linebacking core and their rush. So I'm actually going to go to Nakobe Dean here out of Georgia.
Definitely can see Dean here. Definitely can see Nakobe with, dude. Because the only reason I would not put Nakobe here is they just re-signed Leighton Vander Esch. So they bring in Leighton Vander Esch back.
We're still on the Cardinals.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ, Cole! I should not have smoked it before this morning. Why am I still? Okay, I need to take it off this screen here.
Wrong
Take
team.
it off the screen.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I already gave my take on this one. We're going next to the Cowboys. So next time I talk, you guys finish up. You guys finish this. Listen, I haven't smoked flour in a second. I had some this morning. It's smacking different. Okay, boys. And by that I mean Delta 7.
I was thinking the same
3.2.
thing. I don't have an edge rusher
Fucking whatever.
rated high enough for them to take.
I was going to say
Ajabo would have been my jump.
They could still reach on Ajabo here because they said he had the same tear that Cam Akers did. Cam Akers came back in
6 months. That's training camp.
Yeah.
Or not training camp. That's the start of the season.
Yeah,
so.
it's like 4 weeks into the season. So
That would be a wild reach, and that would not be something that we've never seen in the first round. You almost always see one crazy reach like that.
but the
I hate
talent
predicting them,
just
though.
shows. The issue is how is the productivity and will it hold up again is where it gets hard at. I think with them losing Leo Collins, they kind of need to fix that up. So I'm going to take Zion Johnson.
I could see that.
The only issue there is Zion slots as a guard, like all day long, just because.
Okay, so go Kayon Green.
Kenyon Green probably slots too. Honestly, I would. And it's a little too high for Raymond. Honestly, this is where I'm going to do my reach here from my board. Personally, this is where I'm going to grab Boymoff. I think when you look at someone, look at who they just lost in Dallas. They lost Randy Gregory. Okay, tall, long, uber athletic D end. When I look at Boymoff, a lot of his profile reminds me of Randy Gregory because I did a lot of work on Randy Gregory because I watched a lot of him as a Nebraska player. I know Randy Gregory pretty well. So, like, looking at Boymoff, yeah, I kind of see that long edge build, and that's what they needed last year because that's where they put Parsons.
I do agree with you, but Cam Thomas could be a slot there too.
Who?
Cameron Thomas.
Oh, Cameron Thomas. Yeah, I think Cameron Thomas, and I actually have Cam Thomas ahead of Boy on the big board. But I think when you are looking at team need slot, I just think Boymoff feels like the reach pick here for the Cowboys, and they're not above reaching.
A lot of people have Boy going in the first round. He's very underrated. He's got the size and the skills. And you are correct. And I've actually been one of the people that have been rallying for him in the first round since our first one.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to follow you with that, actually.
Samesies, I think you're right with the whole reaching thing.
Boy Mafia.
They're really good at reaching and making bad picks. And
I mean, CD was good, and they could definitely go for like a Jamison Williams to replace, that threat or Drake London here. I mean, they're not above drafting receiver when we don't think they'll draft receiver. Like they drafted CD when they already had Amari.
More exciting than the Cowboys, though, are the Bills.
So do I get it? Do I get to scream it from the top of my lungs?
Just say it.
Brees.
Drew?
Running back's not going in the first round, but I'll let you have your pick.
They need it. It's what they need. It's their biggest need. You go and you got a second tight end. Brees Hall out of Iowa. He's the best running back in the draft. He showed up at the combine. He absolutely blew out. He did great on all of the hands drills. And he won't be available when you go to pick again in the second round.
That's true.
I agree with that. I just don't think he's – and, yeah, team need, slot it here. I think that would be a fantastic team need, but I just don't see a running – I don't think Brees Hall is even a first-round running back, even by that standard. I think he's a great talent. I think in 2002, he's a first-round running back.
He's not a first running back, but he's not a 22nd pick in the second round going to fall to you in the running back. And when that is your biggest team need, you had a lackluster free agency career to try to fill the position. Like, that's what you got to do.
Okay, but at the same time, I just don't see the reach of Brees Hall being worth, like, or, trading up in the second round not being worth Kenneth Walker being there. Or Isaiah Spiller. Even James Cook from Georgia, in the second or third round. And even then, you're still talking like guys like Damon Pierce from Florida, Pierre Strong from South Dakota State. Jerome Ford from Cincinnati is still someone no one wants to talk about, even though he had 3 productive years at Cincinnati. So he's an all-around back. Like, I think
there's great backs, but the thing is what you're getting out of Brees is you're turning their team from a one-dimensional passing game into giving them a second dimension. And that's what's held the Bills out.
Well,
the
third.
longest.
The second dimension is Josh Allen running, but
fair. Third dimension.
I think I might be a little bit of an outlier here, but I feel like maybe they draft a pass rusher for Von Miller to develop. Because let's be real, they're only keeping him 3 years. It's a $350 million deal. They're going to avoid those last 2 years. I think they draft somebody to sit behind Von Miller and just learn. That's what I think.
Personally, I think you're right on the area of draft need. I would not go edge rusher because you have Von Miller. But I do think defensive line needs to be heavily improved, and that's where Devontae Wyatt comes in for me because he's still available at 25. I think Wyatt is going to be overshadowed by Jordan Davis, but actually pre-combine, I did have Jordan jump Wyatt by 1 spot. They're 14-15 on my big board, and Wyatt's 15 because he's just smaller. I think he got overshadowed a lot by Davis, but I see him playing with a lot more technique. And I see Devontae Wyatt being much more like Jordan Davis is a man among boys. I mean, frankly, he's 6'5", 350. The numbers he put up at the combine were fucking stupid, but I think Devontae Wyatt holds the line really well as a defensive tackle. He eats double teams really well for a 290-pound defensive tackle. I mean, he's someone who can fit in that Geno Atkins, Aaron Donald mold as an undersized D tackle who just gets after it, but is still smart enough to hold his presence on the defensive line to protect against the run, not over-penetrate, not, cause those cutback lanes. I think Devontae Wyatt would be a perfect fit here.
Yeah.
I could also see receiver probably next to, Stephon Diggs, but I think after Gabriel Davis broke out in the AFC Championship game, I'm starting to wean down a little bit on wide receiver for the Bills, in the first round anyways. But Tennessee Titans, who it says here their number 1 need is wide receiver, but after the Robert Woods trade,
I disagree with that.
Yeah, I'm going to throw a little bit of shade on that. Here's actually where I have Nakobe Dean going.
I actually flipped you. I got Devin Lloyd there.
Easy enough. I told you Siganaz's draft boards end up being pretty similar at the end of the day. So, yeah, I think Dean, just as a linebacker prospect out of there, is...
I think Nakobe Dean's...
He's the most athletic linebacker, though.
His pro day and his combine shot him above Devin Lloyd. Whereas first I originally had Devin Lloyd as my number 1, Nakobe Dean as my number 2. Now they're flipped.
I think Nakobe's someone here who, especially when you're talking about playing at an NFL level and playing the speed of those defenses, Devin Lloyd playing at Utah and playing in the Pac-12, I think there's a little bit of catch-up you have to do, just a little bit that naturally comes with it, but almost Nakobe Dean is the closest to not having to play that because of who he played with at Georgia. And I think showing that he played with, I think he had like a PFF like 88 grade this year, showing that stacked defense, he can play behind a great defensive line, still avoid blocks because he's small. He's 225, 230. But still, I think he can freely play in a very fast-paced Mike linebacker role. Or honestly, I could even see him slotting outside. He's an every down linebacker, but where they play him can kind of be a little fluid. You know what I mean? So... I don't know, what do you see for the Titans right now? Obviously, kind of Derrick Henry coming back. I think he came back too early.
I don't know.
Year.
I feel like it's really up in the air, and
I think the fact that they weren't able to keep Donta Foreman is gonna fuck them.
Yeah, I think it is. But I see them maybe just playing it slow, and drafting a quarterback to sit and learn behind Tannehill, and develop. I'm putting them with Matt Corral.
That would be an interesting one.
Okay.
I couldn't not see it. You know what I mean? I couldn't not see it. Like, I mean, crazier shit's happened.
Yeah.
Jordan Love happened. So for Tannehill, who I don't exactly
Love.
gobble on the nuts of. I like Ryan Tannehill, but I don't love him. I don't. I think a lot of people put him ahead of Derek Carr, and I think that's wrong.
I think
as far as quarterback talent goes, I think
think mentally he puts himself on the same level because he's experienced enough. But arm talent, no.
Honestly, I see Alex Smith. When I look at Ryan Tannehill, I see athletic, bigger Alex Smith. That's
He
all I
had-
see with him.
For the first
Yeah.
2 years of the Titans, he had one of the greatest career resurgences of all time.
Yeah,
We can't argue that.
true.
But the issue where I see it is next year's quarterback class is a lot better, and I could see them taking like a second-round guy to sit behind him because they still have Tannehill on the books for 2 years.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, definitely not unheard of, and especially like if you maybe get a little bit of a
Probably
drop
mostly
here.
just because I don't know the prospect.
Hey, no, I love the newbie pick. You know what? Some GM's going to be interesting in their picks, and they will have done all the draft study. So at least you have an excuse. So,
Right.
all right, moving on here
Bucks.
at 27, boys. Who ya got?
My Buccaneers pick to try and get those stupid.
I actually have a wide receiver as well, but I think if you're going to be taking a wide receiver, and this could be potentially be his last season, you want to give him a weapon that's going to start day one. And I think you give him Mike Evans 1.5 with Drake London.
I could see Drake London definitely. I just think Jamison Williams, once again, my bias was size speed combo. Having size on one side, speed on the other. Definitely Mike Evans is not a slow receiver. He burned Jalen Ramsey. But, Jamison Williams, I think you're looking at January for the ACL. He very well could be back for the start of the season. So I don't think availability. I think, getting in the room with Brady ahead of time, and then just being able to, because by the time the draft gets around, he should be, by ACL standards, he should be running. Now, he's not going to be practice ready or anything, but he should be running and doing free runs and light cuts and stuff. And I think at that point, that's when you can kind of get him off-season wise with Brady. Maybe not in the rookie mini camps or anything like that as a player, on the field, but, I think you start slowly getting him in and everything like that. They still have a lot of young talent there, but I almost went Drake London here. I probably would next week, too. This one's just going to be Jamison Williams for me. Like I said right now, but we'll see. There's a lot of receivers still out there. And Tampa Bay with Tom just coming back, I feel like they're still kind of just now letting the dust settle of like, oh, shit, we actually still have a quarterback.
And then they added a bunch of pieces from like his previous team, like getting Logan Ryan and Shaq Mason.
Yeah.
Shaq Mason was a steal.
Absolute.
Steal. 5th-round pick for a Pro Bowl guard. You got to be fucking kidding me.
Well,
All right, number 28 Packers. Where did they go here again, boys? Because I think definitely originally probably receivers where you would have slotted them, even with Devontae Adams on the roster. With him gone, all of us having them taking a receiver at 22. Who do you guys have?
I think they add another Devontae to the team.
Really?
I think you grab Devontae Wyatt here.
You can see that. That wouldn't be a bad pick. This is actually where I'm going to go with Arnold Ebiketie out of Penn State. I think if you look at him in the past, towards the end of the round one, they have a lot of history of drafting defense at the end of round one, especially in this draft class where the talent is loaded. Honestly, in a weaker defensive draft class, I see Arnold Ebiketie as a surefire number one. I got him at like 38 on my big board, so not far into the second round. So I don't think it's a reach at 28 to grab him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No.
Especially at need, you're talking about Preston Smith retained, but Zadarius Smith
gone.
leaves, who was the more productive Smith. You need edge rusher at this point. I think, especially if you're going to grab receiver at 22, it's a luxury in this draft class to double down on a receiver, but you can do it later.
Yep.
I think you can definitely do it later. So 29 to the Miami Dolphins. Laces out, Marino. All right. What are we doing, boys?
Jameson Williams.
Jameson Williams. They just invested so much on receivers. They still have Will Fuller down there. Like, they have so many fucking receivers. Let's just even look it up here.
It's still just their number one need.
I just, after Jalen Waddle, I just don't see it still being their number one need, honestly. Like, wide receiver, Devontae Parker, Jalen Waddle, Preston Williams.
They signed Cedric too.
Yeah, and they signed
paid
Cedric
Cedric.
Wilson. So that's where he goes off for me. I mean, honestly, offense, I don't see anything off of the front line.
Yeah. I
And
was going to say
that's,
offensive line, defensive line is what I would.
yeah,
honestly
and
do.
I have them pretty well slotted for a guy I had going to Cincinnati before they made kind of their run. I have Bernard Ryman from Central Michigan. He's a great offensive tackle. He's a smart dude. He's from Germany, I think, or Austria
What
originally.
about Kenyon Green?
Kenyon Green would be good. I just think they need tackle more than guard because they gave Connor Williams a bag. in free agency, and he's slotted to start at left guard. They still have Austin Jackson from USC, who they drafted last year. I think he can slot in at guard. That's what I had him as a prospect last year. Is I think he was a guard prospect. But you have Liam Eichenberg and Jesse Davis at tackle. I think Liam Eichenberg retains that left tackle spot for now, but you still need a tackle, and Ryman starts day one. I still think he's 40th on my big board, so not a reach. I just think he's a round 2 tackle.
I actually just switched it up by going and looking at needs and what you got there. I think they need a quarterback of the defense. Who better than Christian Harris, someone that's been doing it.
Harris might rise.
Almost the pro level. He had an amazing pro day. He honestly could even bumped himself up to above in that Nakobe Dean, Devin Lloyd range.
And with the secondary you have there, which is fucking loaded, Christian Harris, I think his biggest fault for me as far as like looking at his profile is pass protection. Well, who gives a fuck? Yeah, dude, just have him play, box zone. Have him play that over the middle zone. He did good at that in college. He's just not good at like covering tight ends. So just have him play traditional Mike linebacker. I could see it with the Dolphins. I think that'd be a good pick.
Yeah.
Justin's like, we're getting to the end. I have no idea who
I have
anybody
no idea
is.
what's fucking going on, guys.
I'm
I'm just trying to skate through these last few picks.
help me.
Help me, please.
Help my Lord Jesus. Help my Jewish God. Help my
I'm on the Chiefs, guys.
Let's do it. Kyer Elam.
Facts.
Elam.
Yep, Kyer Elam from Florida. Pro pedigree.
I was thinking corner. They just got a receiver.
And he also is switchable. I think when you lose Matthew, you lose someone who can play both safeties and even drop into a safety or a box linebacker, slot corner spot. He can play all over the defense.
Yeah.
Kyer Elam is that dude. He played corner and safety at
He's
Florida.
freakish athletic.
Yeah, he just
stupid.
slides right in then.
Yeah, so I mean
That's easy.
that would be my pick. Easy.
Easy. Bengals.
The Bagnalls.
And I got
the
Bernard
Bagels.
Rainman here.
The bagels.
The hard part is I just don't have anybody close I would have them reaching for, and also in free agency, going on getting Alex Kappa, who could actually swing to tackle. He's tall enough. And then you still have Riley Reed, who's coming back. Jonah Williams, I've been saying this since he got drafted, to switch him inside. So I think their offensive line for now doesn't get the first round attention.
Cameron Thomas. They need edge rush. They've got good defensive
After
ends.
last year, but they have Hendrickson and
they've got good defensive ends, but they need pass rush.
Well, they get Joseph Osai finally. He'll be there next year, and that dude's
that's
a
gonna be
monster.
dangerous.
I think with them seeing in the Super Bowl that they just couldn't get to Stafford down the stretch, they need pass rush.
And they might add there, actually. You know what? I might steal that. Let's go Cam Thomas. Ojabo is probably gone at this point in a regular draft that he doesn't tear his Achilles yesterday. But
I think I already took him off when you guys were just going on a rant, and I'm like, I know that guy's name, and I picked him.
Cam Thomas, here we go. All right, so give me the last one. Who are you going with the Lions?
So, just because I think for salary cap purposes for the quarterback and holding them and figuring out what you want to do just so you don't have that fourth-year option on the books, I think they go Dax Hill here. You bring him down the road. They need a safety. They already have one of the most underrated secondaries in the league, but they need a true safety. And I think when you give him Dax Hill, he slots in as a day one starter. He's able to kind of help take command, and you see their pass defense improve tremendously.
Dax Hill's a good spot, but I think next to Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think you give whoever eventually is going to be the quarterback there just weapons. And, you have DeAndre Swift, you have TJ Hawkinson, you have Amon-Ra St. Brown. And here at 32 in my draft, a guy who is certifiably a first-round talent. I originally saw him going top 10. I don't think he falls out of the first round, whether the Lions draft him or someone trades for him. I'm going with Drake London here.
I could see that.
I just
He was
think,
off my board.
and also you're talking about someone who played with Amon-Ra St. Brown at USC.
Yeah.
They're teammates.
Khalif Raymond looked really good last season, coming on late for the Lions. He was a practice
Khalif
squad
Raymond,
Broncos receiver, but he looked really good. But no, they could definitely use a clear number one.
Yeah, and what's better than in 2 years when Caleb Williams, former Oklahoma new USC quarterback, then just goes over there too. Not that they ever played together, but all right, boys, put a stamp on her because she's fucking done.
Put a stamp on her.
All right. Let us know what you guys think for our 3.0 edition of our mock draft, or maybe 2.5. We'll hang out a little bit here.
0.7 for me.
Yeah. But until next time, as Sig is going through finalizing his last things, to you.